Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the Zero Weakness podcast. I'm James Hendry, I'm the manager here at Ground Zero, and I'm with Thomas Lilly. In today's episode we're going to talk about the imagined reality, especially in regards to the space of lifting.
Yeah, so this is something that I've kind of been inspired by with some of the books I've read lately just on history and mankind, and there's this concept of imagined realities that helped transform humans from being able to coalesce as small bands, like being able to communicate and have relationships between groups of say 100 to 150. How did we go from that to being able to cooperate in groups of millions and millions sharing the same ideology? And it's built on this belief in something that is just totally made up. And I'm not saying that these are bad things. Like if we're talking about religion, we're talking about society, we're talking about laws, like simplest way to think about it is like the only way that you and I can meet each other, having never met each other before, and say play a game of basketball together is because we both believe in the rules of basketball that have been made up. Because we have that belief, we can play the game and we can both be adhering to the same rules, right? These things exist in life, even something as simple as human rights. Like these are good things that we have made up and that we do believe in, but they are purely made up. In biology, humans don't have any more rights than caterpillars or something like that, you know. But if we think about that concept, the idea that we create and manifest these beliefs, you know, and we think about how now we as people are kind of tuned to think or primed to think from an early age, kind of carries over into how quickly we believe certain things, say in the context of lifting, without questioning them, right? So I've written down a few things that pop up for me as both a coach and an educator of other coaches as well. Probably one of the most common things is the idea of like my femurs are long, my torso is short, my arms are short, my arms are long, and the implication that it has on lifting, right? You've seen this a million times, yeah?
I've seen it heaps.
Yeah, so many people talk about it. Like you've seen people say it, you've heard people say it, and you've heard people manifest it and it become a roadblock in their lifting. Now, in the time that you've been lifting, coaching, exposed to the zero stuff, when have you ever seen a chart that says if your arms are this long and your torso is that long, that means you've got a long torso or a short torso?
I've never once seen that.
Never, right? Because there is no chart that exists. So what happens with stuff like that is people often reverse engineer it. They're like, okay, well, people with this build lift in this way. You've got a short torso and long femurs, you fall forward. You do like a stripper good morning squat, right? And so people will look at themselves and be like, I squat like that, therefore I've got long femurs. And then we get clients come to us and like, okay, so just before we get started on our squats, I just need to let you know that because I've got really long femurs, I have to stand like this. And you look at the person, you're like, you're not exceptionally built. You're just built like a normal dude. And you've probably seen this heaps of times where someone says that and you just teach them how to squat properly and all those problems just disappear. And it's representative of like just understanding the principles, questioning things, not just buying into a belief because someone else has said it. This happens in so many different areas, and it's something that I'm really passionate about because I feel like, you know, one of the successes of the Zero model, both in terms of the gyms, the coach development system, the coaching in general, is this idea of like, we get exposed to stuff that everyone just believes. And powerlifting is full of this stuff. It's full of just bro science. It's full of stuff that has just existed always just because it's existed, and no one questions it. So people just start saying it without thinking about it, right? Another big example of this is like, you know, when I go to competitions, I tend to rap quite a lot of people. And when I compete at competitions, I also tend to coach at competitions as well. And people are like, how do you coach and compete? Like, that's so hard. Don't your arms get messed up from rapping? It's like, if you rap lots of people and you think my arms are going to be fucked from this, guess what's going to happen? Every time you do a rap, you're going to be like, oh, I'm so pumped, this is really hard. If you don't think about it like that, if you just go and do it and see what the experience is for yourself, then you can make that judgment call. If you go into it with a bias of like, this is going to suck, it's probably going to suck. It's probably going to be really bad and it's probably going to hold you back. I saw a post the other day that was like, it was this person that was giving business, their job is like business mentorship, right? and they were giving advice, their top 5 tips for people transitioning from being PTs to owning a gym or owning a studio. And it was one of their top pieces of advice was like, prepared to be stressed. Your stress is going to go through the roof. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, is that true? Like, are you automatically going to be stressed when you go from what you're doing to something else? There is going to be an element of maybe the difference between being a PT and opening a gym. There might be a little bit more stress, yes. But if you go into it expecting it to be permanently stressed out, you're going to be permanently stressed out. If you go into it with a mindset of like, I'm going to do my best to prevent stress, to ensure the success of this business, to plan and act accordingly, then you're probably not even going to experience that stress because you'll be so busy making money and doing well. Like if you perpetuate beliefs before you experience those things, you're just going to end up experience the negative that you already believe. Same thing with calorie deficit. You know, everyone, I'm losing weight so my bench is suffering. It's like, if you're expecting your bench to go to shit when you're losing weight, guess what's going to go to shit? Your bench. If you're expecting to perform poorly because you're in a calorie deficit, guess what's going to happen? You're going to perform poorly. It's like, is there some truth to all of these things that we're saying? For sure there's some truth to it all. But if you go into it expecting the worst of it, you're going to experience the worst of it. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So I guess the take-home message with this idea of like imagined reality is always go into things ready to assess the experience for yourself rather than just automatically believing something's going to happen. The interesting thing is like, think of what like most motivational style speeches or tools or books talk about. It's about like perpetuating positive beliefs, like expecting the positive. I would speak negatively of that as well. Like if you perpetuate negative beliefs, you're going to experience the negative for sure. If you perpetuate positive beliefs, you're probably going to automatically just expect everything to be rosy. And when things don't go well, they're going to seem twice as bad than if you just experience them for what they are. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I guess the big take-home message of all of this is just assess the experience for what it is.
Don't think too much about things as well.
For sure. Act in the moment. Don't dwell on whatever. It's the same thing with like personal relationships. Like how often do you you hear people talking about other people and then you formulate a picture of what this person is, and then you meet that person and your impression of that person is completely different to what everyone else says. It's like, yeah, maybe if everyone says they're a dickhead and you meet them and they're not a dickhead, you might find out later down the track that they're a dickhead. They just weren't a dickhead at first. But if you're getting mixed report, it's just like experience it for yourself, make the judgment call. Is there an element of truth? Yes, but ultimately it's up to you to decide that for yourself.
Nice.
That's it.
That was really good.
Say. Sweet. Well, if you want to help us out, jump onto Google, search for Ground Zero, search for Zero Southside, give us a 5-star Google review. That helps business out heaps. If you're training at local gyms like Zero, go to their page, give them a 5-star Google review. That would help heaps. Hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you next time.